Hello guys, and welcome to my tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to rig this telescopic crane-like rig that rotates and spins at the bottom. So at a project at work I had to do this sort of a rig and I really didn't know how to do it, so I searched for some tutorials online but I couldn't find any. And I decided I'll just make a tutorial, so if anyone else was facing these problems as I was, he'll know how to do it. So let's get started. So this is the geometry we're going to be using. It's really quite simple. It's just basically a cylinder with a sphere on the bottom and a cylinder shape like so we can see the orientation of our geometry. And for the upper sections there's basically just scaled in cylinders. So we're going to begin by creating some NURBS primitives for our controllers and hit on create a circle. We're going to scale it up a little bit, pull it a little bit down, and then we're going to control D, so we'll duplicate it, put it up to about the height of the outermost section, scale it in, and just create it again, or scale it in, and create a NURB circle for every inner section. Control D, scale, pull up, Control D, scale, and pull this one up. So now we got our controllers set, and we're going to select them all and freeze the transformations so we won't get any weird looking effects that we really don't want after we start rigging it. And we're going to select this master controller NURBS, go to right view, hit wireframe unshaded, and we're going to change the origin of the master controller so it will coincide with the center of the sphere. Okay, I think this will do just fine. Go back to perspective, and now that we got this set up, we're just going to parent all of these other circles to the master circle. Just pull them in, and we're going to rename this group master controller. Okay, we're going to disable wireframe and shade it so we can see better. And now we need to parent our geometry to our controllers. So we're going to select this master controller, and then we're going to select the big piece of geometry right here, and we're going to go to constraint and parent constraint. So, and we're going to do the same process for the intersections. Hit on the controller, hit G to repeat the last action. Do this for every section. Okay, so now when we pull on this controller, the section that is parented it will follow. Okay, great. So now we're going to start rigging this, so when we'll pull on this controller, the other sections will follow and expand one by one. Let's go back and do this. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to use the set during key option. So you need to have this on animation and go to key, set during key, and set. We're going to, okay, let me first explain how this works for all of you who don't know. So basically this function does this, that one attribute, for instance in our case the translate Y of this NURB circle, is going to affect the translate Y of these other circles. Okay, so when we pull the main controller up, the other sections will follow. So we're going to click on our inner NURB circles, and we're going to hit load driven, and then select our master controller and hit load driver, and we're going to select the translate Y on both of on both controllers. I mean all of the controllers, sorry. Okay, now we're going to key it, and we're going to select the outer NURB circle and just pull it up to about the height of the section that the section is going to expand to. I think this is about right. If you want to get real precise, you can use locators, but for this purpose it will just fine. Okay, so now we're going to select the middle circles and pull them up to the height that we pulled up our main controller. Okay, hit key again, and now we're just going to do basically the same process. Select the main controller, hit load driver, but we're going to select only the inner two sections that will arise again. Hit load driven, translate Y on both the options and hit key again. Pull the main controller up, and yeah, it seems to be about right. Okay, pull this up again to about the height of this and hit key, and you basically just repeat the process one more time. Key, and this should be it. So now if we select this controller and pull it down, the other sections will follow. Ta-da! Cool. But as you can see, our sections have a bit of a fall off, if you know what I mean. I don't know if it's exactly called a fall off, but we're going to fix this. So we're going to select the driven geometry and go to Windows, and under animation editors we're going to select the graph editor, wait up for it to load, and just oops, not the geometry, I selected one. We need to select our NURB circles. Okay, so here's our curve, and we're just going to put it into linear tangents, and we're going to do this for all our circles. Okay, close the editor. So now when we pull it, it will go in a nice linear fashion. So cool, we got that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our geometry always points to our upper controller, so when we move it around, the geometry will follow. And we are going to do this by first creating a locator. We're going to pull it up just above the height of the controller, like so. And we're going to freeze our transformations, and now we're going to select our locator and our bottom controller, and we're going to go under constraint, and we're going to do a name constraint. But first we're going to go into the options. So let me just reset the settings, and we're going to click on the maintain offset checkbox, and on the roll up type we need to select none. Now this is very important, because if you don't do this, the bottom piece of geometry, if you really need to have real like rotation so it doesn't just flip in all sorts of directions, you need to select this option and hit apply. So now when we move our locator, the geometry always points to it, which is very nice. Okay, and the second thing we need to do is we need to make sure that when we move our locator, the geometry will also go up and down. So select our locator and select our upper controller, and we are going to do a parent constraint, and this is it. So now when we select our controller, and if we move it in any fashion, it will always point to that controller. So if you would like, you could always replace this locator with a desired piece of geometry. So if you had, like, I don't know, another sphere on this side and it will have to like move, you could do this with a sphere, but in our case I just use a locator. So that's it, guys. I hope this tutorial will help some people that have been struggling with this kind of rig, and thank you for watching.